Hey everybody on YouTube, this is Kyle Snyder once again, aka Clipton, and first off I want to apologize for not doing week 10 predictions of the 2012 NFL season. It just, it was a terrible week for me. I mean, I had a lot of work to do, and it's just the presidential election, the wrong person won that election, in my opinion. I mean, Mitt Romney should have won it because I felt he would have given us a better chance for the United States economy to recover rather than Barack Obama. I don't agree with Barack Obama's policies on the health care reform. I mean, come on. It's not economically sound. I mean, yeah, I'll get into that another time. But anyways, right now I'm going to be doing week 11 predictions. And in about an hour, we're going to see the Miami Dolphins take on the Buffalo Bills. I'm going with the Miami Dolphins to win this one. Yes, I know they got blown out in their previous game, but I have a feeling this game they're going to bounce back against the Buffalo Bills. Even though the Bills are at home, it's... home field advantage doesn't always mean anything unless you have like a specifically built stadium to project a lot of sound, like the Seattle Seahawks do. So the Miami Dolphins are my pick. Then we got the Arizona Cardinals versus the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta suffering its first loss, but I predict it's going to be one of their few losses this season. I mean, Arizona, they're been labeled as pretenders for this season. They started 4-0, but ever since they've lost every single game, and this week's going to be no different. The Atlanta Falcons are going to defeat the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm going with the Bucs to win this one because everything seems to be falling in place for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's probably too late for the Bucs to win the division, let alone or even make a wild card spot to the playoffs. So, but nevertheless, that's not going to stop them from giving the Carolina Panthers a humongous beating. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns versus the Dallas Cowboys. The Cleveland Browns have only won 2 games this season, and a lot of it has to do with bad play calling, giving up a lot of points, giving up leads that they earn, and most specifically, the coaching staff. I mean, you gotta reorganize your coaching staff. I mean, Pat Shurmur was not a good decision to have as your head coach. They should have had Rob Ryan as their head coach, in my opinion, because Rob Ryan knows exactly... Yeah, sure, he may not be Rex Ryan, but at least I have confidence that he can make a decent head coach. The Dallas Cowboys, on the other hand, they're wanting to prove that their win against Philadelphia was no fluke, and they're going to want to do everything they can to get a wild card spot or even win the division. They obviously want to get momentum on their side, so the Cowboys are my pick. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers versus the Detroit Lions. This one should be a no-brainer. The Green Bay Packers, they started off slow, but they're gaining momentum. The Detroit Lions, they aren't the same team as they were last year for, obvious reasons. Off-the-field issues and other things. But yeah, obviously the Lions are going to miss the playoffs this season. And the Packers, it looks like they're in position to take the division. At least I think they're going to take the division as far as the Bears' recent injury with certain players. So the Packers are going to beat the Detroit Lions. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Houston Texans. This one's obvious, Houston Texans. Nothing more to say there. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs keep having opportunities to win games, and they keep blowing it. Cincinnati, on the other hand, they've been a pretty average team this season, but obviously average seems to be just enough to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So, obviously the Bengals are my pick to win. Next up, we got the New York Jets versus the St. Louis Rams. Now, normally I would go with the Jets to win this one, but since they seem to be imploding on the inside that locker room, and the Rams, they had a very strange game against the Niners. But yeah, my pick is that the Rams are going to beat the New York Jets, and they're going to want to try and, get back into the division. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles versus Washington Redskins. Michael Vick is not going to play this game. Andy Reid may have described the concussions as just headaches, but the Michael Vick we know is not going to be there. Nick Foles is most likely going to start, and RG3 and the Redskins are going to get another victory in a long time for this season. So the Redskins are my pick to win it. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints versus the Oakland Raiders. The New Orleans Saints, they were off to a very bad start. Obviously, they were 0-4, but they've managed to pick up some more wins despite the absence of Sean Payton. But nevertheless, the offense still seems to be there, and I think it will be enough to defeat the Oakland Raiders. Next up, we got the San Diego Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. The Chargers are falling apart big time. They got off to a good start, but now they're just falling apart. I have no doubt that if the Chargers do not win this game, if they lose against the Denver Broncos a second time this season, I have no doubt that Norv Turner's going to get fired by the end of the season. Phillip Rivers is going to be looking to play for another team, and we're going to see some other significant changes to rebuild the San Diego Chargers. But the Denver Broncos, I believe, are going to win since a lot's been going right for them this season. Yes, they were off to a bad start, but they've managed to overcome the bad start. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts versus the New England Patriots. Both of these teams are 6-3. Now, I know a lot of people are going with New England to win this one since they're normally on top of their division. But you know what? I'm going to go with the upset on this one. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts to win this one. I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan, as this jersey I'm wearing states. And I might be a bit biased towards... I might be a bit biased on the side of the Indianapolis Colts, but I believe they will defeat the New England Patriots. Obviously their offense is going to destroy their defense. The defense for the Colts is going to be slightly better. They're going to give Brady a lot of pressure. They're obviously going to cause at least 2 or 3 turnovers this game. And I believe that's going to be enough to defeat the New England Patriots. I believe the Indianapolis Colts are going to win this game based on defense. Next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger is out, so the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have a tough time winning, since they have to rely on Byron Leftwich. And, obviously the Baltimore Ravens have had a lot of momentum this season. They've only lost 2 games this season. Once to the Philadelphia Eagles, the other to the Houston Texans. But nevertheless, they are one of the 2. They're amongst the top. Yeah, they continue to be amongst the top 8 teams in all of the NFL, and this is going to be no exception. They're going to win this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I have no doubt they'll eventually get a first-round bye into the playoffs. And finally, we got the Chicago Bears versus the San Francisco 49ers. Both starting quarterbacks for that game have concussions. Obviously Alex Smith was recently cleared for non-contact drills, but I believe he will be a game-time decision. It's unknown as to whether Alex Smith or Colin Kaepernick is going to be the starter for the 49ers. I think it's going to be Colin Kaepernick, although that could change somewhere down the line. But no matter who the starting quarterback is going to be for the 49ers, I believe the 49ers are still going to be the same team relatively. As for the Bears, they're going to have some big shoes to fill with Jason Campbell filling in as quarterback. because obviously, as we saw last season when Jay Cutler went down, the Chicago Bears just lost and lost and lost and lost and lost. So I believe the San Francisco 49ers are going to be the victors in this game. So those are my picks for Week 11. Thank you very much for watching, and once again I apologize for not doing predictions last week. It's just I wasn't in the mood to do predictions last week because of the election and a few other things. But anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week.